first things first, I am nothing, a piece of dust in this world. And I'm not going to use the Torah to make any type of predictions. I'm simply just doing a follow-up to a video I made about the year 2021, or 5780 according to the Hebrew calendar, which was about verse 5780 in the Torah. So there's a whole idea that every verse of the Torah corresponds to that year. So this is the 5780th verse of the Torah, which would correspond to the year 2020. And I showed how in this verse, the sword shall deal without, as shall the terror within, to youth and maiden alike, the suckling as well as the aged. So we're talking here about a deadly force that affects everybody. And then when you click on the only Talmud entry on this verse, this is what it says. If there's a plague in the city, gather your feet. Limit the time you spend out of the house, as it is stated in the verse. And none of you shall go out of the opening of his house until the morning. And it says in another verse, Come, my people, enter into your chambers and shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself for a little moment until the anger or this plague has passed by. And then it quotes our verse. So this was the official verse, you could say, of the year 2020, or 5780, which is absolutely perfect, obviously. So then, naturally, people start asking, what does the next verse say? And I guess this is the response to that. You go to the very next verse, Deuteronomy 32:26. So this is 5781 and 2021. I might have reduced them to naught, made their memory cease among men. Or, I said that I would make an end of them, eradicate their remembrance from mankind. And it's kind of interesting. Mendel Kaplan has done 2 videos on a letter from the Rebbe that focuses on Aleph Pei, the letters Aleph Pei, which come to 81, as in 5781. And it's so interesting. He never references this verse, but you can see Aleph Pei right here. And then when you click on this verse, every single commentary and every single entry is about this word here, which he, made 2 videos on, Aleph Pei. It's very interesting, even though I don't think that he's aware of this. And it just so happens to be found in 5781. So I noticed something about this verse a number of months back, and I asked a friend about it who's a Kabbalist, like a Kabbalistic student, Jewish student. And when I showed him this, he was kind of surprised. But if you take the last letters of each word in the verse, which is a well-known Kabbalistic technique, so you'd have the Yud here, the Mem, the He, the Shin, and another Mem. You can make a word or a little phrase out of this. So he mentioned that Yud Mem can be the word day. And then, obviously, He Shin Mem is Hashem, or the name we use for God, the name of God. Since we don't know how to say the tetragrammaton, we use the title Hashem, the name. So this could be Day of Hashem, which is actually a thing. About this day, the destruction of the first temple and the exile of Judah and Jerusalem. About this day it says, the day of Hashem is coming, a day of darkness and despair. Okay. And then this from the actual tanakh, from the Hebrew Bible. You all say that you want the day of Hashem, You can't handle the day of Hashem. And then in Zephaniah, the day of Hashem is coming, a day of slaughter. So this isn't looking so good so far. Your prophets, Israel, are like foxes in the wilderness. You did not enter the breaches and repair the walls for the house of Israel, that they might stand up in battle on the day of Hashem. So when you see day of Hashem, it's using the tetragrammaton. It doesn't actually say Hashem. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them on the day of Hashem's wrath. Okay, so this is all kind of negative. I have a different spin on it, though. And again, I'll show you this quickly. This is how we're doing it. You can take Yud Mem as its own word, and then also have the He Shin Mem as a separate word. So we're splitting it right here. And then you have to find these words in the Torah, and you can actually do that. I'm going to say that this is a slightly different message than my friend. So I'll look up He Shin Mem, and you can find it 3 times in the Torah. Twice as the name, and once as renown or devastation. So you'll see here in Leviticus, the son of the Israelite woman pronounced the name in blasphemy. So you can see here, it's used as the name right here. And it says here, come and behold, it is written, seek righteousness and seek humility. It may be you shall be hidden on the day of Hashem's anger. And interesting to me, you can find Aleph Pei right here. This is from the Zohar, and then it says, Noah did seek righteousness. He entered the ark and was hidden there on the day of Hashem's anger. And that is why judgment could neither be applied to him nor hurt him. Here, and then it's very interesting. It goes on. But I think it's also important to remember that if you take Yud Mem and then He Shin Mem and just kind of jumble those around a little bit, you get Hashemayim, which is the heavens or heaven. So that's a little more positive. You can find Hashemayim. But I'm going to be very strict about it and simply look for Yud Mem as a word, and actually you can find it many times in the entire Tanakh, a handful of times in the Torah itself. And I always say, and this is a well-known concept as well, if you want to know the most about a word, you got to find the first time it shows up anywhere. That's like your home base for that word. And here we can find it in Genesis 14. And I'll read one verse up. Actually, I'll just use this. All the latter joined forces at the valley of Siddim, now the Dead Sea. So you can see here, our word is for, they're translating it here for sea. So this form of Yud Mem is for sea. In this case, the Dead Sea. And then you want to find the first mention of He Shin Mem, which is in Genesis 6:4, a well-known verse to you probably. It was then and later too that the Nephilim appeared on the earth, when the divine beings cohabited with the daughters of men who bore them offspring. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. And here they're translating it as renown. He Shin Mem. And I've seen in other places they translate this as devastation. Interesting. So renown or devastation. But I think the best thing to do is find a place where both words exist. And we can find it here in Psalms 66. He turned the sea into dry land. They crossed the river on foot. We therefore rejoice in him. So the first time we saw it was referring to the Dead Sea, and here we're talking about the Sea of Reeds, or the Red Sea. He rules forever in his might. His eyes scan the nations. Let the rebellious not assert themselves, Selah. O peoples, bless our God. Celebrate his praises, who has granted us life and has not let our feet slip. And you can see Hashem. So this is, or you can see the form of the name here, He Mem. So this is the only place they're found together in the entire Hebrew Bible. I would not going to make any predictions or interpretations. I would just say it's probably a good idea for us to maybe say this psalm or read this psalm and pray for some favor in this whole situation.